As I'm sure you would have seen by now, in Ashes of the Damned there is an exclusive cutscene for Dempsey, where he is sent back through one of his memories to the jungles in Vietnam, where he comes across a temple and ends up turning it into a zombie, specifically a disciple. And with the Ashes ending revolving around Dempsey, it is him and Maya who regain their memories. There is a lot more to this incident than meets the eye, because we also learn in the alternate dimension that Dempsey is from, he encountered an alternate version of Weaver, one that didn't wear an eye patch, along with an alternate version of Dr. Strauss, and through his in-game quotes, we learn that he was even from Liberty Falls. I think the best place to start off is this side Easter egg. So if you play as Dempsey and pick up these dog tags off the ground in the crashed rocket area, all of a sudden a memory will come back to him. And Vaetherion, the Shadowsmith in the map, begins speaking to him. We learn in the ending cutscene that the Shadowsmiths are the fabrics of the Dark Ether, made up of its memories. There are multiple of them, but this one specifically in the Ashes of the Damned Pyramid is Vaetherion. And I guess because he is a weaver of the fabric of the Dark Ether, he is able to somehow infiltrate Dempsey's memories. And I should reiterate, the Shadowsmiths aren't evil, they are good. However, they are corrupted, as they have been imprisoned by the Warden. Anyway, in this memory flashback, the Shadowsmith says to Dempsey, "The hero, this is what they call you. But that's not true, is it? You are a coward, deserter, a worm. Your feeble mind could not handle what happened in that temple. Broken, you went AWOL, seeking escape in the arms of your whore." And as it's playing out, Dempsey is in the jungles of Vietnam on a mission, remembering he is a Marine, but whilst he was commanding his post, his universe's version of Weaver, who worked for Requiem, told Dempsey to gather his team and follow him.
Why did you desert your post?
Name's Weaver, CIA, Office of Requiem. Dempsey?
Reporting for duty, sir.
Gather your team. We'll wheels up in 20.
BC Patrol, front! Keep tight, people.
Wait. Over there. Is that a temple? That's our end.
Weaver then led Dempsey to a temple, and when they got there, they met Dr. Strauss, who we know is one of the scientists at Requiem. The temple, by the way, was the endpoint. Dempsey then told Weaver that he will secure the perimeter with his team, but all of a sudden, they were attacked by zombies. As Dempsey and his team were protecting Weaver and his team, of course the CIA being higher up, which was what the Office of Requiem was under, the undead continued to pile into the temple where they were, and then Weaver saw no other way, told Strauss to do something, we don't know exactly what, but it was at this point that Dempsey turned into a disciple, a creature of the Dark Ether. And it was at that point this undead Dempsey then began to attack everyone around him, the undead and his teammates, and maybe even that universe's version of Weaver and Dr. Strauss.
Weaver, what the shit have you got this into? CIA is messing with this adult shit. There is no other way, Strauss! Do it! Wait. What? No!
Now, the next part is unclear, but what it seems like happened to me is Dempsey then turned back into his normal self, so I assume he was injected with the disciple injection, maybe by Dr. Strauss, but when he turned back into his normal human self, people around him were dead. Dempsey then met back up with his officer, in which he was thanked for saving lives and got a medal. And ever since then, Dempsey had been living with this lie.
You saved a lot of lives, Blaine. You get a goddamn medal for this. Sir, yes, sir.
So much easier to live a lie than admit to one.
everybody thought he killed the undead at the temple and saved loads of lives. But actually, it was Dempsey himself who turned into a disciple and started killing everything he could before the injection wore off. And not wanting to own up to that, to admit that he was actually one of the zombies that killed people, he just accepted the medal and had been living with that lie on his conscience ever since. As Vatharian said to him, his exposure to the unnatural and being ridden by a demon undid him. From the moment Dempsey was touched by this great power, he was then marked, which I believe was one of the reasons the Warden was able to find him, drag him into the Dark Ether, and take his soul. So when you know all of this and then you listen to the quotes in game, it is very clear that Dempsey hates Weaver. However, due to him having memory loss before he was given it back by the Shadowsmith in the ending cutscene, or maybe due to him just not understanding the situation that the Weaver he is with in the Dark Ether is from a different dimension, it is not the same one he was with in the jungles of Vietnam. If you listen to the quotes between the two characters, it is very clear that Dempsey hates him, because he believes it is the same Weaver that injected him with the disciple injection. So in the dimension that Dempsey is from, not only did Weaver exist, not only did Strauss exist, but Requiem did as well. You could make the argument, well, could Dempsey not be from the exact same universe that BO6 is set in, where Requiem exists, the one that this Weaver is from? But we were told by Treyarch that each of our four characters, Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey, are from their own respective dimensions. Treyarch explicitly say that, so that makes me think he is from an alternate universe. It just somehow happens that not only alternate versions of Weaver and Strauss exist, but also the Office of Requiem as well. And that's a strange one because Requiem doesn't exist without Eddie. It was Eddie Richtofen back in Cold War who set up the Office of Requiem as a front in order to get back his wife and child, Samuel and Mary. So how could the Office of Requiem exist in Dempsey's universe without Eddie? Surely that would mean an alternate version of Eddie exists in that universe as well. And not only that, but in that universe he also lost his wife and child. That would be a huge coincidence. There's also the chance that the Office of Requiem in Dempsey's universe had nothing to do with Eddie Richtofen and was for a different purpose, kind of similar to how Group 935 exists in Richtofen's universe. We don't know much about it, but I would assume it was not set up by Dr. Maxis, but it does exist. So in the same way, Requiem was a thing in Dempsey's dimension, and Weaver was a part of it. I have seen a lot of people say the temple in this Vietnam jungle is Shangri-La. Well, we know that the original Shangri-La takes place in the Himalayas. This is Vietnam, and plenty of temples exist in the jungles of Vietnam, so more than likely this is just a random temple. It's not Shangri-La, but I do think there is the small chance this is Dempsey's universe's version of the Shangri-La temple. Instead of it existing or being built in the Himalayas, it was in the jungles of Vietnam. And just like the original Shangri-La map where Brock and Gary went there to hunt for a gateway to Agatha, well, in our new zombie story, Agatha shouldn't exist, but at this point I don't think you can rule anything out. There is a reason though why Weaver and Strauss were here. What were the Office of Requiem's motives? Vatharian says in this dream, a lost temple deep in the jungle, something ancient slumbers there. Did your stumbling wake it? Is that what I tasted on your spiritus? What was it here that Requiem were looking for? Could it have been a disciple? Could it have been zombies? Could it have been some other creature, an elder god perhaps? Other than the undead and Dempsey turning into a disciple, we don't see evidence of other creatures. That would kind of make me question, was Dempsey injected with a disciple injection by Dr. Strauss, or did Weaver and Strauss do something else? Perhaps mess with something on the wall that turned Dempsey into a disciple? I would be more inclined to go with the former because, like I said, Dempsey is human again, and that's what happens when you are injected with the disciple injection. You turn back into your human form. If he became it any other way, he would more than likely still be it to this day. But yeah, the actual reason why Weaver and Strauss were here and what they were doing, we don't know, other than the fact that they got overrun and injected Dempsey to turn him into a disciple, I assume to protect them before the undead killed them all. Another thing to notice in this dream, Weaver isn't wearing his eye patch. In the campaign he has it because his left eye was stabbed out by Kravchenko. That rolled over into Cold War Zombies and Black Ops 6, and he still has it now, but in the dimension that Dempsey is from, that Weaver doesn't have his eye patch. So did that event just not happen to him? Because it took place in 1963, so if it was continuous, it should have already happened. In the ending cutscene, when we break the bond between the Shadowsmith and the Warden, the Shadowsmith, Vatharian, rewards Dempsey and Maya by gifting their memories back to them, and you see their life force fills up their bodies again as their colour returns to their skin. You see on Dempsey's face his memories of the jungles of Vietnam and his encounter with Weaver. I would be interested to know if he's going to talk any more about this. Does he still have shame for what he did? I would assume so, although it wasn't really his fault. If he was a mindless zombie, a disciple, he wouldn't have known what he was doing, and he was injected against his will. So you can understand him feeling the guilt of killing his own teammates, but it wasn't intentional. There seems though to be something deeper here, because he mentions Liberty Falls. Dempsey was there, just in his own dimension, presumably. There are a lot of coincidences, but as we've seen in zombies plenty of times before, when the multiverse existed and there was multiple dimensions, very similar events can happen in each and every dimension with tiny deviations, with the same characters existing throughout all of them, just with small changes, and that's what we're getting here. Weaver and Strauss existing in his universe. There's nothing to say that a different version of Weaver and Strauss doesn't exist in Richthofen's alternate universe and Takio's alternate universe and Nikolai's, but in Dempsey's, they also existed. They also worked under the Office of Requiem, and they were in Vietnam looking for this temple, but doing what exactly, we never found out. Something was dormant there, an ancient evil. But they were overrun by the undead, and Strauss injected Dempsey with a serum, turning him into a disciple, but in the process, Dempsey killed the zombies and his own men. I'm assuming Weaver and Strauss escaped, otherwise what they did was pointless. So yeah, there we go. Let me know what you guys think about that one. That's a really great piece of lore that we learn. In the next map, I would think there are going to be more memories for us to find for whoever souls we are going to retrieve next. I think it might be Gray and Takio. I could be wrong though. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.